How are you? It's been a while since I've last really talked to you.
My, it's a good question. Day to day, it changes quite a bit with the way our work is. You wake up one day and you're traveling to another part of the world, and the next you're at home for the next like 2 months. So, how am I today? Um, I'm happy to be here. Uh,
You feeling
don't really know how to answer
optimistic?
that
You
question.
feeling optimistic?
Yeah, I'm an optimist at heart.
Hmm.
Uh, I always think that we're going to be fine. There's people that are worried about AI and the economy and whoever's running the country and all that. At the end of the day, I think people tend to just keep pushing forward in whatever way they can. So I'm hopeful that I'm optimistic about our industry. I'm optimistic about the future. As a parent, I think you kind of have to force that optimism into your life, or else, what is the point of doing anything? Yeah, that's where I'm at.
What's what's something that is exciting to you that's happening in your life, maybe within work or outside of work?
The most exciting thing is raising two girls for sure. Like that is I wake up and I have a 2 year old and 9 year old looking at me in the eye, looking for a leader to guide them through this crazy world, or a sounding board or like a friend or, all the things you have to be as a dad. That is the most exciting part of life for now. Of course, work is always exciting. Like project to project, you never know what you're walking into. And you always have the opportunity for something wildly fresh and wildly new. And um, that is the exciting part of what we do. We just don't know what tomorrow brings,
Yeah.
right? Like um, I'm not a surfer, but like as a surfing analogy, you're sitting out there waiting for a wave and you have no idea when it will come, how big the wave will be, where it's going to break. You have a sense of where things are, but you can never, it's chaos theory, right? Like,
Mm,
as Jeff Goldblum says, you don't know where the water is going to fall,
yeah.
where the water drop is going to go. Jurassic Park
Nice.
quote there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just showed that to my 9 year old, which was a lot of fun to see her react to these animatronic dinosaurs.
Yeah. True.
Um, I hope I didn't scar her for life. I think I saw it when I was 9 when the movie came out, and I was terrified. But that was on a big screen, so I think the smaller one at home.
Was she scared? Did she enjoy it?
I felt her a couple times jump, you know, and I would ask her like, "Are you okay?" Like the Velociraptors come out, and that's like a really scary couple scary scenes, especially the T Rex one. It's over the car and there's two
Mm,
screaming kids like almost her age trying to survive an attack from a T-Rex in the middle of the night, like during a thunderstorm. That's some scary stuff.
yeah.
um it's still an amazing film. I'm glad I rewatched it. There's a lot of things that don't hold up, but it was really cool. It's really cool as a dad to watch the movies that you really liked as a kid
Mm,
and see them as an adult, and live vicariously through your kids,
yeah.
relive some of those moments.
Does your 9-year-old kind of have an understanding of what you do?
Yeah, yeah. In fact, this last pitch, we won. Like, you
Sweet.
know,
Right on.
uh, I think it's gonna happen. We won the job. Sometimes you win the job and it goes away, but like this one seems to be good. Um, on the pitch, I had her write a story
Oh, wow.
because the commercial is about a mother and a daughter. Daughter's a tween, they call them. You're not quite a kid. You're not a teenager yet. You're like that 9, 10 year old range. And it was about overcoming self doubt and fear. And so I had to write a story to help me like connect with this character, this 9 year old, but also just to, in all honesty, win the job.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it to show why I cared, but I'm trying to give her windows into the work that I do, so she understands why I'll be up till 2 at night on a given day, or doing a meeting at like 5 in the morning
Mm,
with Japan, or
yeah.
whatever country I'm working with at the time. You know, it it's hard for a 9-year old, or any age kid, really to understand what their parents do. So I'm trying to find ways to give her a window into that world.
Do you think it's less about the specific of the job and more of like showing what it is or what it means to have a sort of passion and dedication towards something?
Could you repeat that question?
Yeah.
I want to fully like understand what
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
asking.
So I think it's interesting is like when you have a I don't have a kid, but
Yeah,
I think about this often because I ask people a lot about,
sure.
being a parent and like if their child understands what they do it for work. But I think that there's something when I grew up, I didn't really know what my dad did, but I knew that he worked a lot and I knew that he was excited about what he did
Yeah.
at the time. And I don't know how much of that rubbed off on me, but I wonder like, is what you're teaching your kids or what you're showing more about how excited you are about your job, the passion that you have towards it, rather than like maybe the specifics about your job?
Yeah. I often try to uh, hide, I guess, any sort of negative
Mm,
uh, feelings I have to the work that I do, um, to kind of shield her from that. I mean, for a few reasons. Like, it's not good to be negative about what you do in general. Like, even if there are negative aspects to it, it doesn't help you as a person um, to dwell on the negative aspects of what you do. Any given day, any given moment, you can think about the most negative thing that happened to you, or the most negative thing that could happen to you, and dwell on those things, and completely disregard all the positive. What I'm trying to do, like, this is, when you become a father, these are the things like you really think about it. At least for me, um, they're growing up thinking that what their parents is the default,
mm,
like,
right.
so when I'm older, my mom, I'm going to be that, or I'm going to
Mm.
be what
Immediate
my
role
dad
models.
is. What's that?
Your immediate role models to your kids.
Yeah. Role models. But also like, I mean, role models. Yes. Cause you're trying to give them some sort of, behavior to model. Right. But
Mm-mm.
more than that, this is how they view their future selves, is like, this is what I'm going to be when I grow up. And if you're walking around like moping all the time and like, man, AI is going to ruin my life, and you talk about all the potential negatives that are going on, like, that doesn't paint a very bright future for your kid. It doesn't give them anything to look forward to.
Mm,
Um, and I think it's just like a negative thing in general. Like, the world is a mirror of what you are harboring inside you. And I think that if you really focus on the negative, then everything around you also becomes negative. And
yeah. Yeah.
so trying to, yeah, shielding her from negativity is maybe not the right way to put it. I think maybe stopping myself from uh,
Mm,
outwardly showing
that's
negativity
interesting.
towards
It's
what we
almost like
do.
a self-reflection, almost like looking at your child as like a mirror, maybe like a self-reflection tool. Not a tool. I don't want to say a tool,
No,
but
no, no.
maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely. If I'm in a bad mood, right, and I bring that home, I guarantee you that night when I'm like reading to her, we're doing Roald Dahl books now. So we did like James and the Giant Peach, and we're doing Matilda now. And um, I can tell when she's like really engaged and listening. Um, and on days when I'm like in a good mood and there's like this positive energy bouncing back and forth between us, um, I can tell she's more engaged. But if you create this environment where there's this shadow cast on the house, then there's some. I mean, this happens in day-to-day conversations with people. You know, if you get like super negative, people don't want to be around that. So kids have their, you know, we all are kids. Like we all find our ways of escaping that, or like trying to either you go internal and you're like, I'm going to go do my thing. I'm going to draw for like 6 hours. I don't want to like be a part of this, you know, darkness. So yeah, I think they are a mirror in a way, because there's energy bouncing back and forth between you. I mean, I know we're talking a lot about kids, but I think this goes into interactions on set. You know, like when you're shooting and you're bringing negative energy around, like, and then the client or agency is like pissed off about something. Is like, well, what do you expect? You know, like you're just bouncing negative energy all around, and if you don't look happy, then like, why would anybody else be happy?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you're looking at the monitor and you're unhappy, and that has negative effects, and it ripples, has
Throughout
ripple effects all
everybody.
around you. Yeah.
You find that you've over the years had to make certain sacrifices, one for your career, one for your family, and there's like this idea that I'm playing with a little bit, and it's not like a new idea, but the idea of like finding balance. And for me, from what I've been trying to figure out is that I think balance comes with understanding that there needs to be imbalance at certain points in time. So at a specific moment, work might take precedent over something. Not that it always takes over. Family always, I feel like, is priority. But then sometimes you might need to say yes to family things over a job. Have you found that there has been imbalance that has helped you find balance?
Yeah. I mean, I think the work that we do, it's impossible to have balance all the time. I think you need to be imbalanced at times so that you can, you know, feel balance later, I guess is one way I'd put it. But, you know, it's easy to say like, you know, family always first, you know, but that can't be the case all the time.
Yeah.
Like there needs to be time where, okay, you know, you have a treatment to write, or you're putting together a deck, right. To present to a director, or whatever the case may be. You're up all hours over the weekend, because it's a really important job for, yes, your work, but also your future. You know, this translates to family. Like, you know, it's your success in this industry, directly correlates with how, you know, successful family is, right? Like how comfortable you feel when you're at home. You're like, okay, cool. Like, there's a lot of future projects that are probably coming up because I worked so hard on this thing. And so there's never really financial security, but like, at least you might feel better, you know, when you are with your family. So it's hard to say like, yes, family always first. Of course, when there's something that comes up with family, it's family first all the time. But one of the things that's, well, this is my wife and I always talk about this, is just allowing ourselves to I guess supporting each other, and not always having like unrealistic expectations for, how shall I say this, for time given to each other, right? Like so when I'm working on a pitch, she knows that I go into like zero dark 30 mode, and I'm just like, you know, we'll have a conversation and she could tell I'm like thinking about something else. And you know, yeah, that's terrible. It's no good. But then, you know, after a job is done, like I try to be 100% there. And so there's a bit of a give and take. But what we do is all consuming.
Yeah. It has to be.
It
If you
has
want to
to
do it
be.
well and at a high level.
Yeah. And I think our industry, or like the creative world, I think attracts people that live and breathe this thing that we do. And so everyone is kind of always expecting everyone to always be working and at every hour of the day. And that's, yes, we can call it toxic, and there's a lot of labels for this kind of stuff, but I think we all just live and breathe in this world, right? And it's of course unrealistic to expect results from somebody like at 4 a.m. or something, and you know it you got to be careful with like what you're
Yeah.
asking people,
Yeah.
or you have to be thoughtful about empathetic
Hmm.
towards other people. You can't just expect people to always be at this crazy level that you're at. It's like, oh, like I'm working on this thing, that means that you have to be working on
Right.
this thing, like um but because there is that inherent uh obsession with this art form, whatever that art form is for any of us like in the arts. um I think having a partner that understands that there will be times where you're unreachable, not like over the phone. I just mean like I literally can't. I'm sitting in front of you and I can't reach you.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, we have a really great relationship, and we have that understanding.
But I think that's the key, though, is having
Mm,
that conversation and having the openness with each other to be able to talk about it.
absolutely. I mean, that's a huge part of this.
That's something I'm learning now. I mean, I've been with my wife. We've been together for 10 years, but
Yeah,
communication has been so important to us. And
yeah,
we've been together. We grew up together essentially for
mm,
11 years now, actually.
right,
So she's seen me when I first started in this industry
yeah,
to where I'm at now, to where I hope to go one day.
sure,
And we have conversations all the time about, travel, about when work takes priority or when I'm
yeah,
focused. And it really has helped us create a set of certain boundaries of mutual respect within one another.
sure, sure. Yeah, I mean, that's it's the base that it's the platform you're jumping off of,
Hmm.
like jumping from into like whatever leap of faith you're jumping into, whatever project it is. If you have a solid base you're jumping from, you just feel that much more grounded and able to take on these massive undertakings. Yeah.
So before we started this, you said this was your first podcast. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that there's not a whole heck of a lot of your background maybe out there. And I did a little bit of digging, and we've talked before, and something I'm really curious about is your sort of journey into Japan, like
Mm,
how you found going there after college, I believe, and
mm.
what it's done to kind of inspire you today.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long, windy road to get into directing for
Yeah,
sure. I mean, I didn't start until I was 30. I want to say 32, 33. Really? I
which
mean,
which on like a sidebar is something to
yeah.
say, like it's never too late to really find something and start.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I just learned how to do handstands. I'm like super
Dude,
proud of that.
we
Like,
should. I love doing handstands.
yeah, like to me, that's a big deal,
It's a
Like,
huge.
and I
That's
started
amazing.
practicing, in the last year. I'm like, oh, cool. Like,
It's
we can edit
badass.
this out, but
No, we're keeping
something
that
I'm
in.
quite proud of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I got a very late start in that. I went to San Francisco State University, great film program, and I remember when we were graduating or moving into that summer that there was this energy that everyone had, this not nervousness, but like this anticipation, this okay, like we're walking off the plank, like
Mm.
what's in the water, what are you going to be doing? I'm moving to LA. I'm going to New York. I'm going to be interning at Technicolor. I'm going to be, everyone had this thing that they were trying to do, right? Like some people are trying to direct, some people are trying to do that. And for me, I wanted to get as far away from this bubble that I found myself in, which was, I loved every minute of it. I loved being in the movie theater for school. Literally, that was the last 2 years of my school. I was in a movie theater.
It's pretty cool.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny because at the time, the governor of California is Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Mm,
So I have a cinema degree, right? Signed by Arnold
that's
Schwarzenegger.
pretty sweet.
It's yeah, it's like, what is the point of this? But the bubble that I'm talking about is the film school world where everyone is talking about film,
Mm,
writing about film, making film. Like film is the most important thing in the world, and it was very important to me, you know. But I just had this sense that there was something else that I needed to grab hold of, you know, in this life, and not just start making films. Maybe because I felt inside I just really didn't have anything to say.
mm,
I was still, very young. Uh, anyway, I was doing a few jobs during college. I was a barista, like 4 a.m, waking up, opening a
classic.
cafe, right? And then
Yeah.
at like noon, I would go to Chinatown, ride the cable car, and teach after school programs for like 3 hours or
Mm,
something. Um, so I had this educational background. I was working with kids a lot, and a friend of mine at this after school program had gone to Japan for a year, and told me that, hey, you should check out this company. Their office is in San Francisco. So I got a job interview to
was this
be
company
an
in the
English teacher.
film? Oh, there wasn't.
No, this was like just to teach English
Okay.
in Japan, and it just sounded really interesting to me. I went to Japan when I was 16 once. It was a family friend who was going to a computer conference. He had worked for a big computer company, right? And said, you should come. Let's go for a week.
Yeah.
So that was my first international trip. Right? First time outside of the States. I was 16, and it was like getting smacked in the face with. I mean, Tokyo is one of the most. How do you put it? Well, to quote Bourdain, I think he said like going to Tokyo for the first time was like being on acid.
Wow.
That's not a direct quote, but he said something
Something.
along those lines. Um, and I think that's so true. It flipped my
Mm,
my head around, and I saw this other side of the world that I just didn't know existed. And so I had this interview, and it was the first job that I got an offer for after graduating, and uh, that's what I decided to do. I got a contract for a year to go teach English, and I lived in this beautiful town called Chigasaki, which is like an hour south of Tokyo, and I stayed there for what I thought it was going to be a year. Year turned into two, turned into three, and I eventually lived there. Ended up being 6 years. Um, Towards the end, I was trying to get into film. Right, the last year, um, a friend of mine was working for a very big filmmaker, and he was having a film that was coming into town, and they were doing some casting and location scouting, and I was asked to come on and do some scouting with them, do a bit of translation, and I got a chance to peek into that window again. I was
mm.
like, oh,
It's been 6 years since you've.
yeah, I was away from it.
Yeah.
My friends had started careers, some like very successful like directors that came out of film school, and yeah, I was just behind, and I started to like lose. Not that I was losing hope. How shall I put this? The passion was there, but I felt I was so disconnected from the film world, and uh, it started to feel a little bit more like this distant dream that would never really be something real,
Mm,
you know? And when I got a chance, the filmmaker was Wim Wenders, right? So this is like a hero of mine in film school that I'm meeting and going around Tokyo with. And it was such a surge of like adrenaline, really. It was like, wow, okay, cool. I'm in a car with Wim Wenders looking around locations in Tokyo for this film that actually never ended up happening. Um, and so I got the bug again
yeah.
and decided that we have to go back to LA, and I want to pursue this dream. It also helped that there was this earthquake, tsunami, nuclear disaster, all wrapped in one.
Wow.
That happened right before we moved. That was the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, let's get out of here. So yeah, that's the long of it. I started working at a company in LA that did production
Mm.
for Japanese commercials, right? So a service company. The company is called Downtown Reel, and I started working with these really experienced producers doing union jobs. So this was like very, very high budget, like
Mm.
commercial work.
You're working as a PA?
I was
Sort of?
working as a PA,
Yeah.
then I started coordinating. I was a really bad coordinator. And then somehow I started producing. I think I was a better producer than coordinator, but
Mm.
man, like shout out to all the coordinators out there. That is such a hard job.
Mm.
I gotta say, like everyone needs to know where they're going. And if you're running a crew of like 100 something, where's everyone parking? Like that would keep me up at night. Like putting these call sheets together. I mean, you're working with like experienced PMs and all that, but yeah, I had a couple phone calls from PAs that were not happy with the way I did things. Was not a good coordinator. Anyway, so I kept failing upwards until I started producing there, and in that in between jobs, these are like mammoth, 2-month, 3-month projects, right?
Wow.
From pre-production to wrapping the job.
Yeah.
In between, you'd have, a month or two when you're waiting for the next one to come. And so in that time, I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to try and direct.
Mm.
This is 2014, 2015. And I started to find these little tiny micro budget at the time, like really popular with brands. They were doing these branded docs, where they'd say, hey, filmmakers, you have cameras, go go cast this thing, write the creative, but it has to generally be about this thing and make them wear this product.
Mm.
So I did a few of those. There's a bunch of companies out there. They call it crowdsource creative or something, where it's basically you're pitching against 100 other directors that are all submitting on this job, and they select like 5 or 6, right?
Mm.
And
Sounds
no
like
one has
fun.
reels,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's like it's a bit of the Wild West. But that's how I first started getting into directing, is through those like mini docs, branded content work. And then one of those ended up being a job I did for it's funny, I say a job I did for Lexus, like it was this big Lexus shoot. It's still on my site. I'm very proud of the work that we did, but if I were to tell you the budget, you like wouldn't believe me. No one believes me. I was putting my own money into projects, I would say the first like 5 years of like trying to get into it. And when I say like the first 5 years, literally every single job that I got directing, I was putting money into it. And I don't mean just like foregoing my rate. I mean literally dipping into money,
Yeah.
that we had in the bank account. Whatever was left, living in LA, rents are high, like, cause dug a hole, to get into it.
Mm.
And
What were you hoping to accomplish with putting more money into it?
it's always, I'm obsessive with these things, right? As a lot of us are. And, for this like Lexus project, for example, it was like, okay, cool. We need to get a really good sound designer on this. We need to get a composer. We need to, have this like go through proper post color, and we need all these things. We need to do like another VO session, get a studio to record in. They're small things, but when you have a budget of like, it was $25,000, right? And we're shooting cars, and we had a Phantom, and we had two.
It goes like that.
Yeah, we were shooting. One was in Philly, one was in LA. Like 3 or 4 day shoots. Like everyone, I mean, if any of the crew that were on that are listening, they'll know they like weren't paid well. Sorry, guys. But that's, everything was a favor at that point.
Yeah.
Like everyone, the DP that I still work a lot with to this day, longtime collaborator,
Mm.
Alejandro Wilkins.
Mhm.
He gave weeks and months of his time to that project, right? And forget about the money. So yeah, when you're starting out, that's. I mean, I think a lot of people have similar stories, but what did I want to get out of it? I guess the idea was maybe someday I'll be able to make money off of
Mhm.
this, right? Like maybe someday. And that Lexus project ended up, it got a YDA nomination, which was like a
Nice.
big thing for me. I don't know why I held these things in such like grand light. I mean, I was, you know, I saw other directors, right? That um, at the time, Variable was like a really
Oh
hot
yeah,
company,
yeah,
right? And so
yeah.
like there was these directors. I think, Salomon was out of
Mhm.
there, and I don't know if Parahampus was, but like there was a lot of directors that came up in that generation that were just doing really phenomenal work, and those are the people I look to, and I'd see like, oh, cool, like YDA nomination, like YDA award, and okay, shoot director showcase, and like all these things seem to be these milestones and the
Mm.
really important things to hit. Um, and it's funny, like every time you attain some goal or achieve something that you'd been trying to do for so long, you get to the top of that mountain and you look around and you realize, oh shit, like there's another mountain that's way higher.
Yeah.
And that is, something that keeps happening. There is no finish line.
Mm.
Uh, and anyway, I don't know why I'm getting into that, but I think it's important to say like all these, uh, things that you think you have to get, like I have to get signed at a big company. I have to, win this award, or I have to get a write up in Adweek or whatever that is.
Mhm.
You get that thing and then you're like, oh, wait, like that's just another step. Like you
Right.
have to keep on
Right.
taking steps. It's
Mm.
really never ending.
Yeah.
So to think that there's some like goal at the end of the line is maybe not the best way to look at these things.
Mm. Do you think that putting the money into all these projects for the first 5 years, do you think that you had this sort of like undeniable sort of like self belief that like there's a word that I'm thinking, it's just like you believed in yourself so much that you were willing to risk it all?
I think some of it was, okay, I'm getting older.
Mm.
Like if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. So there was like some sort of, ticking clock, internal clock that was going. But yeah, I think you have to have that. I mean, if you're going to take a leap of faith, you
Yeah.
have to believe that you're going to land on solid ground, right?
Mm.
Like, um, I think you have to have some confidence in yourself for sure, for sure. But the confidence has to come from some real place. And like for me, like film school was a really important thing. Just like finishing a student film, like a thesis film, um, and coming out the other end of it, I realized that I could put projects together. Like, okay, like I think I know how to do this. It made me an okay producer.
Mm.
Um, and I think producing also really helped. Like producing things for other directors, really helped me see the process, in full over and over and over, where okay, this is the beginning of it. This is the process. And I get to work with some really, really talented, directors and watch some amazing DPs work. And um, that helped inform my process for sure. It rubbed off.
Mm.
I can't point to anything in particular, but I guarantee I'm using things that I saw in the 6 years I was working at Downtown Real. Um, so yeah, I think the confidence came from that
Yeah.
maybe, right? Like I had something I could hold on to and say, I think I have a chance of this. I've done this in one form or another before. I think I have, I never thought like I'm the most talented director in the world, but I thought I had a shot.
Mm.
You know, I looked at the work that was around, and, you know,
I think
I just thought I had a shot.
that seed is important. The
Yeah.
idea of, I think I have a shot. I think I can make it. I think that's really important.
Yeah. I mean, then there's the other side of that, which is there's a lot of, you know, people that think they can make it to the NBA. I thought I did. I thought I had a shot until I was like, you know, 10 years old. But,
But like you said, that there has to still be some sort of grounding element to it.
yeah, I think you have to know yourself,
Mm.
right? Like, you know, can you take the stress of the amount of stress that one project takes out of you? It's wild, right? Like it's tough. It's not for everybody. Like each each project almost feels like boot camp in a way. You know, it's like how far can we push like the new recruits? You know,
Yeah.
because it's hard. I mean, especially like when you're a PA for the first time, you're like, holy shit.
It's intimidating. Yeah.
First, being on set's intimidating,
Yeah.
right? Because you're around people that are, you think are so much more experienced than you.
Mm.
And everything that you're doing, you think is wrong, right? Like everything. Go to tie your shoes on set. You're like, shit, maybe I shouldn't tie my shoes here. Like, you know, like you don't know who to ask for anything. And then you start to learn how the set works and like, okay, cool. Like, I think I have an understanding of things. And then you'll get on set and something will happen and you'll be whacked in the head again. Like, wow, I really have no idea what I'm supposed to do right now. And you keep doing that over and over and over until you know, I don't know, you do, I guess, grow and gain experience in this, but still to this day, like every project is you're taking on an enormous stress load, and learning how to deal with that is like one of the biggest parts of the job, like how to handle it all gracefully.
Can you elaborate on anything that maybe you've learned to be able to handle that sort of stress?
I used to take every single comment that would come from Video Village or agency, you know, client as a knock on my work,
Mm.
you
Like,
know?
would you take it personally?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Personally, meaning that I would internalize everything that they're
Mm-hmm.
saying and thinking like, okay, I fucked up,
Mm.
you know, like I made a bad decision. And now I'm at the point where I'm realizing that that might be the case. You know, I can fuck up for sure. But the other side of this is that there are wants and needs that the client and the agency have, right? For, you know, shots, you know, if we're talking about product, the way product shot, that I just might not know anything about, right? Like they might have had discussions for the last 6 months. You know, I'm brought on like a couple weeks. We're chatting back and forth. They might not have passed on to me. So there's that, right? Like you're not always in the know of everything that is going on in the client's minds. Like they have their own needs, right? So in a way, we're here to kind of serve the client. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I've come around to like realizing that is kind of what we do, right?
Mm.
But they do want you for your perspective, and they do want you for the work that you've done in the past and how that can help them do something new. So that is a big thing. It's like, okay, I stopped internalizing it. There might be other reasons why notes are coming in. And another reason it's important to like not internalize these things is because you stop listening to the actual note. Like
Mm.
everyone has eyeballs. Everyone's looking at these monitors now, right? They're looking at stuff that you're not looking at. Okay. So there might be uh, this is the most recent example of this. We were shooting, it was an establishing shot. It was a breakdancing circle. We were shooting in Ho Chi Minh, and there was like 30 people on set. We had 30 extras and then a bunch of talent in the middle. And we were on a wire rig, right? And so we're coming in from really far away, really wide angle, and we're pushing in, we're moving into this breakdancing circle and moving through it. And it was for this energy drink, really fun spot. And there's a lot of parts of the frame that have to be hitting, you know, like there's this motorcycle that's coming in at a very specific time. There's someone on this walk that's like shooting fire up into the air, right? Like right as the camera starts to move. The motorcycle's going, the fire's going, there's people on the left side of the frame that are coming into the dancing circle. There's someone in the circle that's doing this. There's all this,
A lot of coordination.
choreography,
Yeah.
right? That you're working with your AD to like make sure all this stuff's being timed out. But there's pockets of the frame that you're not necessarily looking at. And there was a pocket of the frame that felt dead. Now, I didn't see that. I'm looking at all these things that I'm paying attention to, all the things that have to be timed out absolutely perfectly. But there was this little portion that felt, yes, dead. And I did not see it. And so sometimes these notes are really helpful to make you take a step back and look at the monitor with fresh eyes and have other people say, hey, like maybe we could do this. And most of the time, what I find is that notes that are coming in are trying to help the project be as good as it can be. Not all the time, but a good amount of it, when you're working with good creatives. So, Obama used to say this all the time, like the best idea in the room wins, right? I'll listen to the best idea in the room. And that's how I try to operate on set,
I think that requires you or anyone sort of in a decision-making position to release any ego that you have.
Yeah. And that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
That's hard. It's hard for a lot of reasons. You don't know a lot of the people that you're working with, right? You've just met them. They don't know you. Like, so you're already, it's like, imagine, you get invited to a party and, there's like 100 people there. You don't know anybody, right? And it's like, okay, everybody, now we're going to do this elaborate dance, right? And it's a 5-minute dance and you have to learn all the moves. And like, there's a lot of intimate scenes where you have to like, hold somebody. It's going to be like really uncomfortable. Like you're asking a lot of strangers to get together to be like super coordinated for, whatever, 12 hours of the day. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so the best, that was a terrible metaphor, by the way, but the best work comes from what I find is long-term collaborators, right? And also creatives that are like open to giving space to each other, like, really good creative directors that are maybe allowing me to do a few more takes than maybe they want to allow, right? Like, okay, he's cooking, like let him do his thing. But then also for me to be able to hear feedback from a creative director, copywriter, right, that are looking at different parts of the framework, might be thinking about different things. And yeah, I mean, it's just important to have that, in your mind when you're on set.
I think going towards the topic a little bit of like long-term collaborators, I know we've talked about this before a little bit, but from a DP's perspective and like from what I hear, like a lot of people talk to me about like how do you get to work with directors? Like how do you get to work with great directors? They're working on such great projects. I would love to work on that with them or something. And I think that's always like the selfish DP thing that we all want, for example. But I feel like I've realized that from a director's perspective, you are in such a sort of like vulnerable place on a commercial or on set that you really need to have somebody that you trust. And like you can walk away and that person that you've built a relationship over the last 10 years with, that you were grinding with on a no budget thing, will have your back no matter what.
Right.
And I think that's really important to know for like any up and coming filmmakers. Like find your people early.
Yeah.
And like grind with them in a sense.
So Alejandro is a perfect example of this. Like we were both coming up at the same time. Like I was trying to direct and he was DPing already, but he was also moving away from ACing. He'd been a Steadicam operator. He DIT. He did pretty much everything you could do in the camera department. And he was, you know, starting to build a reel as a DP, and I was really trying to get into directing, and uh, we were both hungry.
Mm.
You know, it's really important to, as you said, to find your people. So of course you have to share aesthetics. You know, like that's the hard thing is to find someone that is in the same general uh, place trajectory as you are, and someone that shares your aesthetics, or at least, you know, sees your aesthetics for what they are, and can build on them, and try and offer up new ideas and their own aesthetics. Um, but that first, like, we did a ton of projects together that had like no money, you know, and like, no one's getting paid for this stuff. And literally, you know, one project, I think it was him and a sound person, right? Like, so there's 3 people on set. Like, those are the kind of projects we were doing at first. And you blink, and now there's like 100 extras running through downtown Miami with a techno crane. You know, it's like, it happens really quick. And uh, the stress that comes on those larger jobs, uh, if you don't have the previous history, right,
Yeah.
to pull on, right, and have a shorthand, um, it's
I feel like it's hard for you to fully fully open up and like be yourself when you don't have somebody that you can like, not just a DP, but like
yeah,
art production, all the different places that director kind of has to have a relationship with.
yes, exactly.
Mm.
Um, it's really important to have long-term collaborators. I mean, I could name off so many people that I work with. You know, one other person I'll just mention, Andy Nagashima. He's a composer, sound designer, editor as well. He does a lot of stuff, but we've been working together. He's been doing the composition for most of the work that I've been doing the last 3 years, maybe.
Mm.
And what is really wonderful about having kind of a long-term relationship with someone is that uh, you're both growing together. Like, you're both trying to do new things, and you're trying to one up whatever you did last time, right? Like, I don't want to bring to him a film that just, you know, is not worth composing to, right? Like, I want to make a banger. So like, these these collaborators that you're working with also hold you accountable. Like, I don't want to
Mm.
go in a post with an editor that I've been working with all the time, you know, and not give them the goods. Like, you know, I don't want to give them crappy footage to work with, or not enough, or whatever the case may be. And you want to inspire these people
Yeah.
around you. And so, yeah, I mean, this is true about sports, I think, too. Like, when I was skating growing up, um, when I skated around some of these kids, or like, even like there was a bunch of pros around where I was, because it was LA. Whenever I skated with someone better than I was, and there was like pretty much everybody, right? Like, I got better.
Yeah.
When I was skating around like other friends that were like, we were basically doing the same stuff, like, I wouldn't progress as fast. And I think that's very, you know, that's definitely true in sports. And it's true in art. You don't necessarily, as I, you know, of course you want to find your people, and you want to come up together with, but you also want to surround yourself with people that are doing things at a whole other level, right? People that you just really look up to and respect, and not that you're emulating them, but you're trying to get to whatever level, or, you know, level that you perceive that they're at.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
I also think another element too was, you know, I'm thinking about some of the people that I've been building with over the years is
Mm.
it's also like we're comfortable enough to like challenge each other.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I think you're like taking it too easy on this, or
Yeah.
like, why aren't we pushing hard enough here? Like, I think you're able to have those conversations and like not take it personally, but just know that we're both we've both been in this together, that we want each other to make sure that we're pushing
Yeah.
hard every time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that, yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. I don't need to add to that.
Yeah.
It's this bounced energy, and it's adrenaline. It's this like rush of like, hey, we gotta make sure this kicks ass.
Mm.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd love to know like what you thought directing was when you started and how it's maybe changed considering the level that you're at now. Like what are some elements of directing
Well,
that you never really thought of?
um, I think because I had the the production background, um, I was able to see it through a different lens. I mean, you never are really prepared for the job until you do the job,
Mm,
right? Whether that's like being a DP, PA, director, like you have to do the thing to know what it is. But it did help me see a process. And it's simple stuff. Okay, so like for every single shoot, you're gonna have a scout, and you're gonna have a tech scout, right? You're gonna do storyboards, like you're gonna do all these things to get to the end. You're gonna shoot reference frames, like of course, like this is
mm-hmm,
the process, and you
mm-hmm,
do it over and over and over and over and over. Um, I'm not answering your question. I'm trying to find a way to answer it, but seeing others do the thing over and over and over was like really helpful for me to say, okay, there is some sort of uh, organization to this
yeah,
chaotic thing that we do. And there's a good way to do things and a bad way to do things. There's a good way to treat people and there's a bad way to treat people. Uh, and seeing it like from production, because in a way with production you're doing all the work before you get to set,
yeah,
and when you get to set your job's mostly done. You're dealing with fires that might pop up every now and then, but for the most part the AD's running the set. You're just making sure that everyone's happy, right? You've already done your job. Work comes before and then after the job's over. um, because you're in a way you can step back and witness what is happening on set. That was just eye-opening to see how interactions on set affected everybody, on
mm,
set, right? So like if a talent is berating a producer or getting really nasty with crew, um sitting back and watching that and seeing what happens through the rest of the day, it's you see the effects,
yeah,
right? And so that was like a really important thing for me to pick up, like the psychological things that you know
happen.
are
Yeah,
important,
for sure.
have an impact in what we do.
Mm.
But some of the things that I didn't know.
I mean, I could
It's a
almost
tough
kind of maybe
question.
just like rephrase a question in like maybe a
Mm,
different way. It's like, is there something that
mm,
you maybe are like right now in this point in your career? Is there something
yeah.
that you're working on that is fairly new to you, or something that's challenging you that you never really
Mm.
have done before, or something that is creatively inspiring you, challenging you as a filmmaker, as a director?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the biggest, I didn't know that you had to do these things.
Mm,
Um, I didn't know this was part of the job description. Um, you're obviously surrounded by people all the time. Like the amount of questions that you have to answer is just like,
yeah, infinite.
yeah. I didn't know you had to be this good of a people person, like to
Mm,
direct, right? I thought there was some, maybe, I don't know, a bit more distance, but I think, yeah, I mean that's been the thing I've definitely learned. It's like, okay, you're on from the second you land at the airport, right, till you take, you coming back home. Like it's everyone's looking at you, right, for answers, and you have to be prepared to give all those answers, right? So like, uh, this is going to be like really bad advice, but also, I mean, it's like good advice for me, like to tell myself before I
yeah.
start a job. But it sounds it sounds silly, but uh, before walking on a set, like when we're actually shooting, or even like before a tech scout, um, reread your treatment.
Mm. Mm.
Like read the thing that got you the job. Remember
Mm.
what your ideas were. Because when all the eyes are on you and asking, all a million questions, you can lose focus and a sense of purpose and lose what the original concept
Yeah.
was
Like
to
going back
begin
to the
with.
foundation.
What got you excited about the job,
Right.
to begin with? Like what got you excited to pitch on it? What got you excited um to go the extra mile to write that treatment? Okay, cool. Like read the treatment again. It's because there's been a couple jobs that I've shot. This is, I don't know, a couple years ago, where I finished the commercial. It turned out fine. I'm never like super stoked on it. And then I reread the treatment. I'm like, wow, like we didn't do that thing that I wanted to do, and it just got like lost in the
Mm.
shuffle. Like there's so many things that have to, first of all, go right to make a good, commercial short film. Um, but it's very easy to lose sight of like the biggest things.
Yeah.
Like, and nobody knows that they're important. The only person that knows that they're important is you, right? So it sounds like really silly advice to like, read your own treatment, but it's because they're your ideas. You put them on paper, you pitch these things, but it's helpful to like ground you in what this concept was. Because we all do this. Like we all revert to, what did I do last time? Like, just like how your body doesn't want to do a workout. Like I don't want to
Mm.
go the extra mile right now.
Like a
Like
sense of comfortability.
I want to, yeah, I want to sit down. I want to chill,
Yeah.
like what is the easiest answer I can give right now?
Mm.
Sometimes when you're on set and you're tired, really tired, and you just want to get through the day, you can give an answer that will move things along, but they might not necessarily line up with that original concept, right? And like, always the why is very important. So anyway, it's been something I've been doing lately is like, okay, I reread my treatments like before I step foot on set. And it's like really helpful to just remind yourself, what are we doing here?
Mm.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's I think that's really great advice, actually, because you're right. Also, from my perspective too, is like sometimes I get so lost in like the technical stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
I have to ask myself, okay, like why are we doing the technical stuff? Like
Sure.
what is the reason behind it?
Right.
So it's going back to the foundation of
Yeah.
what the origin of this is. I
Yes.
think that's really good advice. Mm. When you start getting sort of, I don't want to say inquiries about,
Yeah.
a potential job,
Yeah.
do you find that you have a sort of criteria that you've built over the years? Are you necessarily at a point where you're picky on the jobs? And if I could maybe extend the question a little bit longer, how do you kind of deal with a job that you're extremely excited about and say you won the pitch, but it doesn't happen, or you're battling with 10 other directors and it doesn't happen? I know that's a bit of a extended question, but I'm curious from your perspective, because that's a world that I don't live in very often. I get asked when the job's already won.
I'm really bad at saying no.
Mm.
Like really, really bad. I'll say yes to almost any project that comes along. Right. And I know I shouldn't. Um, I do it out of the memory of the famine,
Mm.
you know?
Feast or famine. Yeah.
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 I mean, I remember not having a single email come in for a month. I remember having to cold email people for, weeks on end to get some sort of lead. It's like, maybe I can direct this super low budget, branded content piece. I remember how hard I had to work. So when, someone sends me an email, like this can be from a rep, it could be from a production company, it could be my agent, right? It's like, here's here's the job, and I read the creative. It's not great, right? The dates work.
Step one.
There's money involved.
Yeah.
I just say, yeah, sure, cool. I'll submit on it, and then sure enough, I'll get shortlisted on it, and I have to do a treatment for it. And then I try my best to win it. I guess I'm competitive, maybe. But I'm really bad at saying no. I'm trying to get better at saying no. Not because I'm like above a job, just because I've realized after. This goes to maybe a different topic altogether, which is like finding your voice, right? Which I always thought was, whenever I heard that, I thought it never struck me the right way. Like
that question,
or the idea of like having a voice, like, it's the auteur theory, it's like, do you have a voice? Like, is there a real like artistic voice, or how shall I say this? I guess I never thought I'd be able to say like, this is my voice. I always thought it sounded rather arrogant, to think that what your voice is, even though it's your own voice. I don't know why that rubbed me the wrong way, but it always did. But having done commercial after commercial, job after job, you start to realize like, oh, okay, this thing that I keep doing, like, oh, that's my voice. It's as natural as the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you, hold a fork and knife. Like, this is just what you do, right? Like, and you, when you start to see this pattern in your work, whether it's like the way you like to shoot portraits, or like, a lens choice, or whatever that is your voice. And the more I do this, the more I realize, okay, like I do have some sort of voice that of course I can try different things, and I feel like I'm competent in doing things that are like outside of that. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, I'm getting better at saying no, because I guess I'm realizing what jobs are like way outside of that voice. Like, not that it's outside of the voice. I don't think I'd be serving the project well by saying yes to it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, if I get a comedy spot, like I'm just not funny. If I get some comedy boards and they think, oh, well, there's some action in it, you're going to be good for it. Right. And I read it, I turn down comedy spots. That's like, I've gotten better at saying no to that. But in general, I'm because like my agent, production companies typically cater what they send to me. I say yes to a lot of stuff.
You also feel like a sense of pressure to say yes, like external.
Again, I'm scared of like being, of not working. Right. So, because of that, I like run into trouble all the time. So last year, from March until like July, March to July, I didn't win a single job. I, was thinking like, okay, well, that might be it, And then from July until February of this year, I shot 13 spots, which is like an insane amount.
Yeah, insane.
And not like it was a winning streak. Like, I didn't lose a single job that whole time. And I was expecting some of them to like just, not go through. So I was in this place where I was, I'd land in some part of the world. I'd work there for 2 weeks, and then I'd fly to another part of the world. Like, I wasn't home for, I think there was a stretch for like 2 months, or maybe even a little longer. I just didn't see my family, So that is the problem with saying yes to everything. Was every single job a banger? Was every single job like one that's going to go on the reel? No, right? Like, maybe half won't.
Right.
Right. So will they lead to other stuff in the future? Yes. Well, is it a good thing to have done the job, to get more experience doing different kinds of work? Yeah, absolutely. But that is the thing that suffers, is just not really being able to, you know, be a dad, to be
Mm,
around for your kids. That is the trade-off. So yeah, again, I'm really bad at saying no because I'm scared of going through those stretches where there is no work. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to get better at having faith that the right work will come. So better to say no to things that you just really aren't right for,
mm.
you know.
I think the double-edged sword there for me too, because I also never say no to
Yeah.
anything really,
Yeah.
is I find that like sometimes I get really excited about a project that I think is going to be amazing, and it ends up just being okay, or like in the process of prep, it just starts to get watered down, and then it's just like okay, but then there's a project that I'm like, I'll just say yes because whatever. It ends
Yeah.
up being amazing.
Sure.
So like sometimes the unknown about a project of it being good or bad also keeps me saying yes because I don't know what it's going to be and I don't know what it's going to turn out to be. I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. I don't know who I'm going to meet on it. So that is also part of the reason I say yes too, is because I just want to be involved
Yes.
at all times.
100%.
Yeah.
You want to be invited to the party, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
like,
that's it. Yep.
um, 9 times out of 10, you're happy you did the job, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same for me. Like, I don't think I've walked away from a job going like, God, why did I take this job?
Mm.
I genuinely enjoy being around creative people, and not just creative people. Like if I'm doing a, you know, let's say like a farmer spot or something, and I'm hanging around some doctors and nurses, like I'm genuinely curious
Yeah.
about their lives. Like I want to do like full on docs about like everyone that I'm meeting. Like I'm out there asking questions like, you know, tell me about your life, you know, because I'm genuinely interested in
That's why I
people's,
do this.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is the fun part of what we do. Like it's a very social business. So to miss out on, like, to say no to a job is to say no to like so many potential
Mm.
opportunities, and not just like in a business sense. Like it's so enriching, you know, when you meet all kinds of, you know, people from different walks of life. Um, yeah, that's why it's hard to say no.
Mm. You find that, so I know that most of your job revolves, a lot of the jobs are travel.
Mm.
How are you able to build a sort of career where most of your job is travel and not necessarily super local in the market that you're at?
Um, well, a big part of that is my background in Japan. So I work in Tokyo from time to time with a lot of the connections I made through like
Mm,
producing,
mm,
right? So I do have a background that some roots there. I have a really great agent, Scott Punetti. Shout out. He's really opened me up to different parts of the world that, you know, I never would have been able to get my reel out to,
mm.
you know, I'm currently bidding on something that's in the Middle East right now. I'm going to Vietnam next week. I'm like, you know, really like, I feel blessed that
Yeah.
I have those opportunities. Um, how did I get there? I'm not sure, other than that you know, I have a really good agent, and uh, maybe a portion of the work that I do, um, I don't know, is attractive to people in,
Mm,
you know, certain markets. I'm not sure. But being in Philly, you know, the majority of the work, if it's, I mean, majority of the work can't be coming from Philadelphia, right?
right.
There's just not enough work to go around. Um, and there's a lot of great creatives here in Philly for sure. And so like when jobs do come, it's like, it's competitive.
Some directors that I'm friends with that are closer to my age and like
Mm.
just starting out in the commercial space,
Yeah.
they've been playing with the idea of like, is getting repped valuable to me?
Mm.
Is getting an agent valuable? Is working with a production company valuable?
Mm.
How have you found sort of those different resources valuable or not necessarily super valuable?
I think everyone finds their own path, right? Whether it's like directing, DPing, like this is such an individual pursuit. Um, I every director I meet will has a different story,
Mm,
right? What I would say is that most people that I talk to in this industry, the commonality is that their career has taken off because of people that they know, people that they're friends with, people that they collaborate with. Um, uh, that's true for me, for sure. In terms of getting repped and or being signed, let's just say getting signed at a shop. I used to think I needed to be signed at a production company to do work of any like uh, high quality or
Yeah.
like whatever,
Yeah.
to do larger work. And that's just simply not the case. Like right now in the US, at least, for non-union work, it's almost better to be freelance and to not be tied down to a place. And a lot of a lot of the directors that are on roster work off roster all the time,
Mm.
right? Uh, would I like to be signed at a big shop? I'm getting to the point where, yeah, absolutely, I'd like to be signed at a big shop, and because there's clout that comes with that.
Mm.
There's
Is there more
you're
stability?
no, I don't think so. But you're
Mm.
opened up to work that wouldn't come to you in the freelance world, in the non-union freelance world. Um, you know, these larger agencies and production companies have like, again, it's a business of
Yeah.
relationships, right? Um, you're not gonna ask a freelancer to bid on a job for the first time, like to lead a campaign that's going to be like, let's say, like 12 spots. Like,
Mm.
let's say you're going to do a 12-day shoot for a massive corporate, like whatever, Target or something, right? They're not going to ask a freelancer to jump on. They're going to ask the production company that they've been working with for the last 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Who do you have for this? That's good. Okay, cool. Like, let's, and of course they bid other production companies and whatnot, but like the larger jobs, the campaigns that are going to be played during the NBA finals or
Mm-hmm.
during the Super Bowl or any sort of major event or something that is like a huge ad buy, like those aren't going to the freelancers of the world. Most of them are not those types of jobs. So like you do miss out on a certain level of work for sure. But if we're just talking like the amount of work that's out there right now, I would say like it's better to be freelance to get work from absolutely
Yeah.
every region in the US. Like, I work with companies that are in the Midwest and on the East Coast, West Coast, and like they're all seeing different boards, right? Like they're seeing different things. And sometimes it's easier to win when you're in like a regional market,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mm.
that's, and if the goal is to have a sustainable career, um, I don't think that, getting signed or having representation is as important as I think
Make it out to
we
be.
make it out to be.
Mm.
In my experience, it works out for some people, doesn't work out for others. But yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses. Uh, I have an agent who represents me outside of the U.S. I mean, I'm signed in Canada and Germany and in Japan, right? So, but like pretty much everywhere else, I have an agent that represents
Mm.
me out there, and his whole model is, you should be freelance. There's no reason to sign anywhere, and because look, the world is open. Like
Yeah.
go work in Romania, right? Go work in Thailand. Go work in Vietnam. It's definitely opened up my eyes and like to see what kind of opportunities I can get. So yeah, I mean, someone coming up, I would just say like do good work and meet as many people as you can.
Mm.
And networking, I've always hated that word, like networking.
Yeah.
I just uh, try to just make friends and see where things go. I don't think, there's like something predatory almost when I hear the word like networking, right?
Mm. So you're trying to get something out of whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Just sounds like my relationships with people in LA.
I mean, so I left LA. I told you this, right? So
Yeah.
I was born and raised in LA, and I moved here. We moved here 6 years ago. About one of the reasons we left was, I mean, every conversation you have with anybody, like any stranger, you're at a dog park, you know, the first question they'll ask you is, so what kind of work do you do, right?
Exactly.
And if the answer isn't, I'm a producer, I'm a director, I'm a talent agent, I'm a whatever, then the conversation just is dropped, and they'll go on to the next person with a cuter dog, and it's like that's LA. Like
Yeah.
every waiter, waitress is like, trying to figure out who you are to see if you can. It's almost as if that whole city are people that are looking to other people to try and see if are you going to be able to help me? Like,
Right.
can I use you as a rung on this ladder to get a little higher?
Mm.
And that it's a really tough environment to like always be in. And what I love about Philadelphia is no one gives a shit about advertising. It's looked down on.
Mm.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're either a doctor, lawyer, you're someone respectable, not some advertising
Guy.
exec, like,
Yeah.
or whatever, and that's what I love about Philly. It's no nonsense,
Right.
and not every conversation revolves around what do you do for a living?
Mm.
Yeah.
This might be a hard question to answer, but can you recall any moment where you received a specific piece of feedback or advice that has left a bit of a lasting impression on you?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's one piece when I was struggling to try and when I was struggling to get into to directing, right? Like I had nothing on the reel. I was doing like little tiny, really bad spec work. Um, you know, I asked my friend who's a very successful director, like very, very, very successful, still is very successful, really good filmmaker. I was asking him like, hey man, like you took off like right out of film school, like, you're killing it. Like, what's the secret? What do you do, man? How did you get here?
Yeah.
And he said, Mike, if you want to direct, start directing. And I wanted to like punch him. Like I hated hearing that. Uh, but it was the best advice that I didn't want to hear.
Mm.
I was producing at the time. I was doing everything but directing, right? So what was I doing on the weekend? I wasn't trying to make a short film with friends. What was I doing when things were slow? Like, no, I wasn't doing everything I could to make that thing happen, right? So I think that is the hardest thing starting out is continually banging your head against a wall until you break through. And that's kind of what you have to do when you're starting out.
Mm.
Because the first thing you do is never going to be that thing that propels you to like greatness. Maybe some people like the 0.05%,
Right.
right? But for most people, it's like continually doing competent, good work over and over and over and over again from maybe a decade,
Mm.
right? Until finally you have some sort of career. At least that's what it was for me. Like I didn't make any money. Like I never got a paycheck for being a director until like 6 years in.
Mm.
Where like I took money that I was like, wait, you're paying me this much to do, like, this is incredible. But that was like 6 years.
Yeah. It takes a
So
lot of patience and
patience.
yeah.
Yeah. And credit cards, Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, not to say like you have to go into debt, but like, it helps if your parents are rich, like
Mm.
it helps if you have an angel. Let me back this up because this is sounding kind of negative. Like none of that grind felt as bad as it did, like it was, I was working as a producer. I had like income, like I was doing okay. I had, uh, happy like family life.
Yeah.
Everything was good there. Like it wasn't terrible. But another bit of it, like if I can call this advice, I don't think it's really advice. It's more like, try to find people that are uh, supportive of you. And I don't mean in just the collaborators. Try to find angels.
Mm,
Try to find people that genuinely believe in you. Try and find people that believe in you and you're not even sure why they do. Like people that are supporting you so much that you just don't know what to do, you know? So, um, Jeff Murray, who's the EP at Downtown Real, that production company that I was at for 6 years, was an angel. I mean, I don't know why he believed in me as much as he did, but in one of these downtimes between jobs, I had met a PA on set who is a photographer, and she shoots boxers. Liz, shout out Liz, she's the best. And she started talking about this boxer that she was shooting, and this really terrible sob story, coming up. And all boxers do. They come from like really tough backgrounds. Most boxers,
mhm.
most fighters. And it sounded like a really interesting story. And she said, yeah, he's got this big fight coming up in a little bit. And I know his manager and all this stuff. And I said, oh, God, I want to make a documentary about this guy, kind of half joking. And she's like, yeah, we should do it. I'm like, okay. So I talked to Jeff. I went to the office. I'm like, hey, like nothing's coming in. We got some downtime. I want to go to Mexico to shoot this doc. Are you cool with that if I like take, a
Yeah.
couple weeks off? And it's like, yeah, sure. Like, what are you shooting? I told him about this story and he goes, yeah, I want to be involved. How can I help? I'm like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he opened up his wallet.
Wow.
He funded the project. That was a lot of money like that he put into it. Right. Um, he didn't have to do that. Like he didn't owe me anything. He saw that I cared very much about that project. He saw that he tried to, you know, he basically built my directing career by helping me financially put money into projects.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, like try to find angels, try and find those people that just like blindly believe in you.
Mm,
Like he is one of those. There's maybe 3 or 4 people in my life that uh, had either given me advice or like supported me in a way that was just so unnecessary. Like, you know, um, unbelievably kind. Like
yeah.
you don't have to be doing this. Why are you doing this? Thank you. Those kinds of people are the ones that will obviously help you progress.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Mm. How has your idea or version of what success looks like changed over the last couple of years to where you are now?
Um, Success is a savings account for me right now.
Mm,
I just want to be in a place where I don't have to say yes to every job, which is just psychologically quite hard for me to do. But the other side of that is like there's a financial side for sure, right?
yeah.
So being in a place where I can turn down a job or two, like, and have maybe a month where I'm not working, or 2 months or 3 months, because those slumps are going to come whether you like it or not.
For sure.
So yeah, like success is not is looking, is having family dinner and not like worrying about, are we gonna be okay? That's the big success for me. Um, None of the like awards or those things, none of that is real success. The um I have another thing. I want to get a short film done this year. It's okay if it happens next year, but I'd like to get the short film done. That would be a marker of success, a narrative film, in the can, and do a festival run. That would be success. Success is one of those things that constantly shifts and
Yeah.
morphs, and um, but yeah, definitely a little bit of financial freedom. And I don't mean like being rich. I just mean like not having stress. Uh, yeah.
Amazing. Mm. What do you have coming up that you're excited for?
Um, just rack my brain. There's a lot of projects that are like maybes right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to Vietnam next week. That'll be fun.
Sweet.
I like shooting there. There'll be good people, good food. Uh, just like happy that I have that opportunity, like that's something that's, you got to pinch yourself sometimes because when you're struggling for such a long time, it's hard to, it's hard to see how far you've come, right? Like I always try to play this game with myself. Like, okay, what would you 5 years ago think about like this? Whenever I get like down or
Yeah.
like I'm pissed off about how a meeting went or what have you, right? Like, uh, what would you 5 years ago think about this opportunity that you have? It's like, yeah, like full stoke, let's go. Like, are you kidding me? This is amazing, and that's always the answer, most of the time. So, yeah, yeah.
Where can people find your work? Where can people, if they want to say hi to you, where can people say hi?
I have a website. It's my last name. I stole it from the rest of my family. It's medoway.com, Medoway. It should be spelled meadow, like, like a meadow, MEAD, but it's Medoway. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on X. I just can't deal with all of those other platforms. I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Yeah.
Like, I follow one sport. I can't do all of them, kind of thing. So yeah, Instagram, website. Uh, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. Peace out.